12,000 years ago, hunters with no metal tools carved 20-ton pillars so precisely that modern lasers barely measure the difference. The data from new AI scans exposes enclosures and alignments beneath the earth. Geometry that rewrites everything we thought about civilization's dawn. If evidence exists that Stone Age builders achieved the impossible, what anomaly forced their secrets back underground? This is where the contradiction begins. A shepherd walks the rolling hills near Sanliorfa, searching for lost sheep. His stick strikes stone, but this is no ordinary rock. The surface is carved, smooth under layers of dirt. Word spreads. Soon archaeologists arrive, led by Klaus Schmidt. They scrape away the soil and stare in disbelief. Rising from the ground is a pillar taller than a man, 5.5 meters from base to cap, weighing as much as a city bus. Nearby, more monoliths emerge, forming circles that dwarf Stonehenge. These are not scattered boulders. Each pillar stands upright, socketed deep into the bedrock, arranged with uncanny precision. The team measures the stones, 20 tons per pillar, yet there is no sign of wheels, no metal, no beasts of burden. Only primitive flint tools and fragments of bone lie in the dust. The oldest survey notes, dated 1995, record the shock, a Neolithic monument on a scale no one imagined possible. The pillars are carved with animals, lions, foxes, scorpions, etched so sharply that sunlight catches every line. Some stones stand in pairs, others ring the central enclosures, as if guarding secrets from a lost world. The lead excavator shakes his head. It was like finding a Stonehenge in Turkey, totally unexpected. The numbers do not add up. How did Stone Age builders, with nothing but stone and wood, move and raise these giants? The contradiction is impossible to ignore. Simple tools rest beside engineering that rivals the monuments of later ages. Every measurement, every new pillar unearthed, deepens the mystery. The site stewards, now guardians of this ancient hill, mark the perimeter. They know this is no ordinary find. It is a challenge to everything written about civilization's dawn. The scale of Gobekli Tepe demands an explanation. The labor, the planning, the sheer mass of stone. Nothing fits the textbook story. As the sun sets over the Anatolian plain, the pillars cast long shadows. The world's oldest monument stands silent, waiting for answers. Quarry scars run across the limestone plateau, each one a silent record of ancient labor. At least 350 extraction sites have been mapped within 2 kilometers of Göbekli Tepe. Among the unfinished monoliths, some surfaces show a pattern of cracking and discoloration. Materials analysts reviewing these sites note evidence of thermal shock, edges fractured as if stone was heated, then doused with water. The so-called fire and ice method, debated by experts, leaves a telltale fingerprint. Smooth split faces where limestone once resisted every blow. But the anomalies do not stop at the quarry. New digital surveys, powered by millimeter precision LiDAR and 3-dimensional modeling, reveal that enclosures B, C, and D are not scattered at random. Their centers form the points of a triangle, its sides measured to within a few centimeters, over dozens of meters. Statisticians reviewing the scan data calculate the odds of this alignment appearing by chance as vanishingly small. The triangle orientation, locked into the bedrock, suggests planning on a scale that defies expectations for a world without writing, wheels, or metal. This is precision few expected. On the pillars themselves, another mystery. High relief carvings, predators frozen in motion, cover the stone. Lions, foxes, scorpions, and vultures, rendered with lifelike detail, crowd the surfaces. Some animals appear mid-leap, jaws open, claws outstretched. The iconography is not random. Each enclosure seems to favor certain species. as if the builders were arranging a bestiary according to a forgotten code. Archaeologists catalog hundreds of these figures, noting similarities to later mythologies. But the meaning remains locked in stone. The predators speak in stone, but not in a language we yet read. A lab note from a materials analyst reads, "Thermal fracture markers present." But scale of technique unverified. Recommend microstructure analysis. The data is clear. Something unusual happened here. The quarry scars, geometric precision, and predator carvings stack anomaly upon anomaly. Each one demands a deeper look, a new set of tests, a search for methods that match the evidence. The puzzle grows. Every scan, every measurement, raises the stakes for what ancient hands might have known, and what modern science has yet to explain. Laser levels blink in the morning haze. Archaeologists kneel beside the T-pillars, adjusting mirrors and tapes. Each socket cut into the limestone bedrock holds its monolith so tightly that a sheet of paper cannot slip between stone and earth. Survey logs from the 2024 LiDAR campaign record tolerances down to 2 millimeters over a span of nearly 20 meters. The numbers leave little room for error. Pillars align perfectly, their surfaces rising true and plumb, as if guided by a craftsman's invisible hand. No wheel tracks, no metal chisels, only the silent memory of flint blades and wooden levers. A materials analyst field note dated April 2025 captures the surprise. It records that socket fit was tested with a 1 millimeter gauge, 0 lateral movement, and recheck confirms original placement. The data points stack up, each one chipping away at the idea of primitive guesswork. The builders understood not just stone, but geometry, angles, plumb lines, and the weight of gravity itself. Every enclosure, every pillar, set with a precision that rivals modern engineering. Amid the routine of measurement and dust, a new find stirs the camp. Under a collapsed lintel, conservators brush away centuries of packed earth. A carved figure nearly life-sized emerges, arms folded, face abstract, chest marked with deep grooves. The surface gleams where the limestone was once polished, the rest dulled by time. Its features echo the T-pillars, stylized, powerful, neither fully human nor beast. The field director's log notes that provenance is under review and that it was not on prior site maps. No one claims a miracle. The statue's context is debated in the tents. Some call it a guardian, others a ritual effigy. What cannot be denied is the craftsmanship. The grooves along its shoulders match tool marks found on the central pillars. Its base slots into a prepared socket, the fit as tight as any in the enclosures. The statue's discovery, still under review by the conservation team, hints at a tradition of monumental art that stretches beyond the circles of stone. The evidence is written in the limestone, millimeter-accurate sockets, survey data logged by satellite, and a new statue whose very presence raises fresh questions. The builders of Göbekli Tepe were not improvising. They measured, planned, and executed with a skill that modern scans can only begin to trace. As the sun falls and the team logs their findings, the monument stands unchanged, its secrets sealed in stone, its precision a silent challenge to every timeline written since. 10 million cubic feet of limestone rubble and earth, enough to fill a modern stadium, was poured over the circles of Göbekli Tepe. The fill did not arrive by accident, nor by the slow hand of nature. Layer by layer, the builders sealed the enclosures, packing every gap with stone chips, animal bones, and broken tools. Archaeologists sifting through the stratigraphy find no sign of collapse or flood. Instead, the backfill is deliberate, dense, and uniform. The act is unmistakable. This was a burial, not of bodies, but of knowledge and memory. Radiocarbon dates from the deepest fill pin the moment to around 9,600 BCE, on the threshold of the Younger Dryas. The world was shifting. Temperatures plunged without warning. Wild herds vanished from the steppe. Dry winds scoured the hills. For the people who carved the T-pillars, the sky itself seemed to turn against them. The decision to bury Göbekli Tepe, monuments, carvings, and all, coincided with the onset of this climatic shock. The evidence is buried in the dirt: pollen grains from drought-resistant plants, dust from distant deserts, a sudden change in bone chemistry marking famine and stress. Once the fill was complete, the circles disappeared beneath the mound. The knowledge that raised the pillars, the geometry, the quarrying, the rituals, faded with each passing generation. Later dwellings on the hill are crude and makeshift: shallow pits, low stone walls, mud brick huts. The architectural ambition of the T-pillars vanishes from the record. No more high-relief carvings, no more perfect sockets. Only rough shelters and scattered hearths remain, a shadow of the world that came before. An osteologist's field note, tucked into the dig log, cautions against disturbing the fill without respect. Each bone fragment, each chipped tool, is a message from a vanished world. The site director, citing the climate data, reminds the team, the end of Göbekli Tepe was not just a closing, but a response to a world in crisis. The burial was both an act of reverence and a surrender. What lies beneath is a record of skills lost, of knowledge set aside as the climate turned cold and the age of stone came to an end. Ground-penetrating radar pulses through the mound, mapping what eyes cannot see. The data is blunt. Less than 5% of Göbekli Tepe has been touched by excavation. Beneath the surface, at least 20 more enclosures wait in darkness: circles, arcs, and what may be halls or pits, some buried as deep as 8 meters. Geophysicists study the point clouds, tracing outlines that echo the known enclosures above. Each scan adds to a puzzle that grows with every survey season. The site sprawls across 15 hectares, dwarfing the exposed circles. The raw numbers suggest over 200 pillars still hidden, their forms locked in soil and limestone. Evidence builds quietly with each pass of the instruments. Remote sensing teams log coordinates. They cross-check ground-penetrating radar with drone-mounted LiDAR. The datasets show standardization in pillar bases, socket depths, and the spacing between rings. Artificial intelligence flags anomalies, regularity in the pillar footings, symmetry in the buried arcs. The precision is mathematical, not random, yet the full picture remains out of reach, sealed by Turkish heritage law and the sheer volume of earth above. Each request for broader excavation is weighed against the risk of damaging what lies below. Above ground, the debate shifts to the sky. Pillar 43, the vulture stone, draws attention for its crowded reliefs: birds, a scorpion, and abstract symbols. In recent years, some researchers have overlaid these carvings with constellation maps, arguing for a celestial code. They point to V-shaped figures, claiming matches to Sagittarius or the path of the Milky Way. Statistical models are run, comparing pillar art to star charts from 10,000 BCE. The results are contested. Mainstream archaeologists caution that seeking patterns can mislead, and that the carvings may speak to ritual or myth rather than astronomy. The data remains ambiguous: no carved date, no inscription, only the silent stone and its enigmatic symbols. The evidence divides the field. On one side, raw geophysics confirms a scale far beyond what is visible. A hidden city of stone, waiting for permission and technology to reveal its full extent. On the other, interpretation of the carving splits between measured caution and bold speculation. The only certainty is the need for more data, more access, and a careful hand. Until then, the mysteries of Göbekli Tepe remain buried, both in earth and in meaning. The scale of labor at Göbekli Tepe breaks every model of Stone Age society. Excavation logs tally tens of thousands of animal bones, gazelle, wild cattle, aurochs, scattered through the fill. Isotopic analysis of these remains points to feasts held at seasonal peaks when herds crossed the steppe. Archaeologists call it the pilgrimage provisioning model. Hundreds, maybe 500 people, gathered not as farmers, but as mobile bands. They brought their own food, tools, and knowledge, working together to raise the pillars and carve the stones. There are no signs of permanent fields, no granaries, no evidence for true agriculture. The workforce assembled, built, and then dispersed, leaving the hilltop silent for months at a time. The logistics are staggering. To move a single 20-ton pillar, calculations suggest teams of 100 to 200 people, ropes braided from wild flax, and sledges dragged over sand or wetted stone. Ethnographic parallels, Nias Island and Easter Island, show that such feats are possible, but only with discipline and shared purpose. Yet at Gobekli Tepe, the organization runs deeper. The geometric layout, the sockets with millimeter accuracy, and the repetition of pillar forms across multiple enclosures are not the marks of a one-off experiment. They speak to a tradition, passed down and perfected, then lost. This is an anomaly that demands explanation. Speculation runs wild at the edges of the data. Some compare Gobekli Tepe to the Sphinx, pointing to a legacy that predates the known rise of civilization. Others argue for a lost chapter, a society that mastered stone, then vanished in the cold shadow of the younger Drias. But the evidence grounds the debate. There is no sign of metallurgy, no copper or bronze, only flint and bone. The polished surfaces of the pillars, so smooth they reflect the sun, are a puzzle. Petrographic sampling, no trace of exotic abrasives or chemical treatments. The finish comes from relentless grinding, stone on stone, hour after hour, until the limestone gleams. What remains is a challenge, not just to archaeologists, but to anyone who seeks the truth. The next phase is clear: systematic surface tests, roughness measurements, and microstructure scans. Zooarchaeological data must be cross-checked for seasonality to map the rhythm of work and feast. Every anomaly, every unexplained feature demands a checklist. What can be measured? What can be falsified? What must be left open? The companion white paper details these protocols, inviting scrutiny and debate. The data must stand up to rigorous testing. The legacy of Gobekli Tepe is unfinished. The site asks hard questions about what humans can achieve and what knowledge can be buried, waiting for rediscovery. If you want the full research agenda, the data sets, and the test plan for the next excavation season, follow the link below. Share your own hypothesis. The evidence is open. The debate is just beginning. Every new scan at Gobekli Tepe sharpens the mystery rather than solves it. The technology that probes these ancient stones now raises deeper questions about what we're still missing beneath our own feet. As AI uncovers more buried knowledge, the real anomaly may be how little we understand our origins. Some evidence demands not just answers, it demands a new way of asking. What are we truly ready to discover next?